Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen. AI can't fix what you're doing wrong as a leader. And if you're struggling in your office when you're leading the team, you might want to pay attention to this one. Let's get this one started. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life: prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone, because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Boss! Right, ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is a best-selling author and business psychologist who's helped companies like NASA, Microsoft, and Chick-fil-A solve problems that free snacks and ping pong tables just never could. He's on a mission to help leaders actually appreciate their teams and stop burning out their top performers. So please welcome to the show, Dr. Paul White. Dr. Paul, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
All right. Now that we got your energy pumping and you're ready to rock and roll, let's jump into this thing. Leadership skills. Obviously, that's something that people got to learn and develop over time, even though maybe some people think they're alphas and they're born a leader. Tell me a little bit about how you got here, how you got to the point where you're training leaders how to be better at what they do.
Yeah, so I'm a psychologist, which doesn't mean a whole lot in that realm, but I grew up in the context of a family-owned business in the Midwest. And mid-career, I was traveling around, working with a team, working with family-owned businesses, high net worth, successful people, millionaires, so forth, helping them deal with the family issues that are intertwined with business, and who's going to lead the business, who's going to own it, and pass it on to the next generation. So I was doing that. And I was meeting with a leader in North Carolina, asked him how the plan was going. He said, "It's fine. My son's stepping up. I think it'll work." I walk across the hall and ask the son the same question. He says, "This is a disaster. I can't ever please my dad." And so my wife and I were reading this book called The 5 Love Languages, which is for personal relationships. It's a bestseller. It sold 25 million copies. And I approached Dr. Chapman, the guy that wrote that, and I thought, I wonder if the concepts could work in the workplace. And so felt like appreciation was sort of the parallel concept in the workplace. And so started using the materials with teams, and then wrote the book, sold 600,000 copies, still 3,000 a month after 15 years, assessments and training materials. And so have taken it sort of it's practical and it makes a difference. And so that's why it's good.
It's funny because you have it as the 5 languages of appreciation, and I'll be honest with you, I think you get further in life with sugar than with almost any other ingredient when you're talking to other people. If you flatter them, if you show them the appreciation, if you let them know that they exist and they're doing a good job, or that they're actual human beings, part of this big operation. But I notice you, I see you. I think that goes a long way as a leader, but we're not always trained to do that. So what exactly are the 5 languages of appreciation, and why do most leaders get them wrong at the workplace?
Yeah, you're right on the mark. I mean, it's important to support people positively when they're giving you their best, or even when they're not. So the 5 languages are words of affirmation, which is pretty simple, where you're affirming the value of a person, what they do. It's not just about performance, it's about who they are. And that can be one-on-one. It can be in front of their team. It could be written. Most people we've worked with hundreds of thousands of people, do research. 40% of employees don't like to be called up in front of a big group to be recognized, and that's actually a negative, and so you want to avoid that. Second language is quality time. For those of us that are older, that's historically meant individual time with your supervisor or manager, be able to give some input, maybe learn from them. But for younger workers, again, we've done research and found that younger workers don't really care about their managers so much and want to hang out with their peers and their colleagues. And so we teach team members how to show appreciation to one another. Third language is acts of service. It's not rescuing a low-performing colleague, but it's these people live sort of by the mantra of don't tell me you care or support me, show me. So for them, it's like working on a deadline, banging away, trying to get it done. What can they do to help out, even though it's not their job? I mean, it might be that maybe they just manage your calls for a while so you can stay focused on the project. Or, let's say it's in construction or whatever, it's stopping by at the end of the day and helping clean up the job site. So it's pretty simple, but can make a big difference. Fourth language is tangible gifts. It's not bonuses, raises. That's sort of between the employer and the employee that way. But it's just small things that show that you're getting to know your colleagues and what they like. This appreciation really is person to person. It's not organizational. It's not the org chart. So it might be bringing in, I don't know, your colleague's favorite coffee in the morning, or maybe getting them a kind of, pop or whatever they like in the afternoon to refresh them. It can be maybe get them a magazine about their favorite sports team, or even it doesn't have to cost anything. It could be maybe a website. Let's say they're starting to coach soccer for their kids, and a good website that's got training activities, you give that to them. So it's small things, person to person. Last one is physical touch, which in North America, a lot of people sort of freak out about, but we work internationally, and physical touch is a big deal. It's largely in the workplace. It's spontaneous celebration, right? It's a high five when you finish a project, fist bump when you solve a problem, maybe a congratulatory handshake. And so it differs across cultures, but it can be important, especially if it's important to them and they just feel like there's this cold wall there that doesn't work well.
So words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, tangible gifts, physical touch. You weren't lying when you said do these things and they help your relationship as well. Because, if you're in a marriage, those are exactly the things that are going to help keep your marriage working. When you're at work, you often spend a lot more time with your colleagues than you do with your spouse for some people, right? So in making sure that relationship also thrives is crucial for having a good, successful workplace, especially if you're a manager, because there are sort of rules and regs from having, subordinates and relationships. But understanding these languages, especially as a company, can totally help reduce turnover, can help boost morale, can help keep some of these top performers. When you're working with a lot of these companies, how do they, I can clearly see the writing on the wall for this to make it happen, but how do they kind of take these languages and implement them in a way that doesn't feel weird? Because I'm picturing like a construction crew, right? A bunch of guys, and you're like, hey man, I gotta provide some acts of service. Like, I don't know how does that work when it's a kind of that work dynamic. How do you really implement this rather than just reading about it?
Yeah, so we've created individual assessments and according to different industries. So like an active service looks different for a construction worker than for a school teacher or a nurse or whatever. But we found that the best way, we've created a pretty simple training process that somebody in the company can go online and an hour and a half, get trained in taking teams through it. And what we do really is start with a team that's sort of interested in this and take them through, a couple hour, maybe a half day of training of learning about the languages, what they look like, how it's different than employee recognition, the importance of authenticity, so not just acting like you're doing and going through the motions. And we found it works well. And I mean, we had an article in the New York Times written about us of our work with a mining company in Colorado and South Dakota. And you wouldn't think miners would get, and truck drivers would get into it, but we have visual symbols for each language, and they actually had stickers made to put on their hard hats. And so that, people would know what their language was. We really focus on authenticity, that it's not just blowing smoke, but you find out, what you value about them. And it's not about performance, because when somebody's new, they're not performing at the top, and you got about 50% of your team members who are doing okay, but they could improve. And what we found is that this is not just about making people feel good. We've got research that shows that it improves turnover, that goes down, absenteeism goes down, productivity goes up, profitability goes up, because turnover is one of your major losses that doesn't contribute to productivity. And also customer service ratings go up. So it's about helping the organization function more effectively because it's sort of like oil in a machine. It helps the pieces work together well with less friction and tension.
And you're right. Turnover is one of those things that I think has hidden costs that people don't realize. Whenever you have somebody who leaves the company, you have to find a replacement, but you also have to train that person. And that person who's coming in isn't necessarily to the level that the last person who left was handling. So you have that gap. And then if you don't have proper leadership that is retaining this talent, you're going to go through that cycle over and over again. That's a lot of wasted time, money, and effort. And it really, drags on a team. But I also understand as a manager, there's a lot of things going on as an individual myself. If you gave me all these different things that I can change to make myself better, that could be a laundry list of things, and I might do none of them. So
Right.
if I could just make a small leadership behavior shift that could probably give me the best results as far as retention is concerned, what advice would that be? The quickest little change that I can make as a leader?
Yeah, I think there's two parts to it. And one is you want to treat your team members as people. They're employees, they need to get things done. But we're all, at the bottom line, we're people, we have lives outside of work, we have characteristics and strengths that don't really relate necessarily to what we're doing at work. Like maybe somebody's a musician or they're a runner or whatever, and you can communicate value and appreciation for, that talent. But you really have to know the specifics. And we developed this assessment. It's been taken by almost 500,000 people. It's in 9 languages. And it identifies not only the specific language, but what acts within that. Because, like, take words, some people like to be sort of, praised in front of their team or whatever, but others don't. I mean, it's actually embarrassing. And so it's more like you do it one-on-one or maybe privately through a note or whatever. So we identify how everybody likes to be shown appreciation and then share that among the team so that they know how to show appreciation to each other. So it's sort of like focus on them as a person, not just productivity, and learn how they like to be shown appreciation, because otherwise you waste a lot of time. Our data shows that over half of employees don't like words as the main way. And so if you mainly compliment people or whatever, you're missing most of your team, and you're wasting time and energy. And so you're not really getting the bang for the effort that you're putting out.
Man, if I was giving my wife chocolate all the time and she didn't like chocolate, then no matter how nice I was being, she ain't gonna like that very much. So
Right,
you're
you got
absolutely right. You got to figure out what they like and then go in that direction. Now, there's a lot of companies that spend a ton of money, a ton of time trying to recruit top producers, people who are high production type of employees. However, sometimes those top producing people can also burn out and want to walk away. Where do most burnout prevention strategies fail? And what actually makes a real difference to avoid burnout and kind of keep that high producing employees that we're looking for?
So one is that they focus almost solely on the output. I mean, on sales or how much you're getting done. And you do that over time. And we can only function at, a high rate part of the time. I mean, we're not made to do that all the time. So what we really need is, and the research is showing, we need social support. We need support and recognition that what we're doing is valuable. And most managers and business owners think people leave for more money, but in actuality, 79% of one study found that people weren't leaving for more money. They were leaving because they didn't feel valued and appreciated. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't take a lot. It's like little steps, and you can save a lot of money through that turnover. And also you don't have to keep raising wages, because here's another thing for younger workers a lot is they don't want to produce all the time. Sometimes they want time off, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and that can be a benefit. They finished a project or whatever, give them a half day off, and it helps them sort of rejuvenate and, re-energize.
Oh, and if you give them a half day off or a full day, you finish a project on time, guess what's going to happen the next time? The project's going to get done on time. They're happy. You're happy. The result is there. The customer is happy. Everybody wins. That's the scenario that you're looking for. Now, Doc, we're also at a point where AI is entering the picture, and there are a lot of people who are saying AI is the next best thing. It's going to simplify all these processes, make it everything easier. Um, but I know there's a lot of organizations that are misusing AI, especially when it comes to helping people, like as far as management. It's not going to help us motivate anybody. It's not going to do those types of things.
Right.
What can you say about AI and how it's simplifying the process for some companies, but at the same time, how much human aspect do we need on top of this AI?
Well, the reality is work is ultimately about people, right? You got a customer, you got vendors, you've got suppliers, and you've got employees, management. And if you miss the people part, you're screwed, to be honest, because they're leaving. Because the problem is that with AI, which is a great thing when used right, if you don't use it correctly and keep sort of the focus, you're going to try to keep making things more and more and more and more content. I'm already working with a digital marketing company that is like, man, they're putting out so much stuff. Well, how much stuff do people read? I mean, at some point, enough is enough. And we talk about a second type of AI, and it's appreciation intelligence. That how do you show appreciation to the people in a way that's meaningful to them so that they stay? Because if you're having the turnover or people, it's sort of like the quiet quitting thing. They may be there, but they're disengaged and they're just sort of messing around. That's not good for your business either. So it's a both and. You got to keep the artificial intelligence and the strengths of that as far as processing data, but you've got to deal with the people side of things as well.
As companies get larger, they start to develop teams or departments, interdisciplinary type things within the company. And on the one hand, you have managers in there that might have a great structure in place to help promote that team bonding and get things in order. But there are also times where some of these teams either got to compete with each other or work together, and they have different management issues. How do you help some of those interdisciplinary teams kind of rebuild trust when there's been maybe tension or disconnection because of normal day-to-day stuff?
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things that we found is that appreciation doesn't work to the org chart. I mean, it doesn't come down from management and supervisors. It's across teams and all that. So let's say somebody in IT helps a team member that's trying to implement a new program on their computer. They don't report to each other, but the person who got the help can show appreciation to the other team member, and it it fosters a connectedness and an interconnectedness. But trust really is sort of misunderstood. Trust isn't just general; it's specific to the situation. And we talk about 3 C's. Trust is built on competence. Do you know what you're doing? Can you actually do the job? Secondly, can you do it consistently? I mean, some people got the skills, but they don't show up or they don't get it done on time. That's not helpful. And then third is sort of character. I mean, is it all about them? Do they only do stuff that's beneficial to them, or do they consider your needs as well? And so we teach team members that you got to deal with the 3 C's. And so if you sort of screwed up one, you got to work at rebuilding it over time. And rebuilding trust is more difficult than just building it initially, right? Because you've sort of undermined their confidence in, you're going to follow through. So one of the things that we found is that what the major issues of retention, of recruitment, of dealing with remote workers have a common theme, and that is a lack of connectedness. And our process and our tools help build connectedness between team members so that those things all grow and improve.
I like that. Are you competent? Do you show up? Are you consistent? And do you have a good character? Those things are vitally important. There's also, so I teach a class called financial algebra. I teach high school students. And if there's anything about almost any industry or that you're getting into, there's always a lexicon, this vocabulary that is spoken amongst that group of individuals, right? So,
right.
And sometimes vocabulary can get mixed up. You think you're saying or doing one thing, but it really means something else. So I see this all the time, especially, when you think you're doing something one way and it's giving you a different result. What's the difference between recognition and appreciation? And why is it so important to understand the difference, especially in that workplace environment?
Yeah, great question. So employee recognition, which has been around a while, and one study found 97 of all companies have some form of employee recognition. It might be as simple as getting an email for your birthday, but it's largely being recognized publicly, and it's driven by the organization, but it's almost always for performance. The other ones that, your birthday, whatever, hardly anybody sort of pays attention to that. And recognition, although most companies use it, it's not working because attendance and retention is poor, morale is low, people are looking for other jobs, productivity is going down, and they don't know what else to do. And so it's largely about just getting things done. And what happens is the same people sort of get recognized over and over. And so you miss your sort of middle 50% that are your main team members that are doing a good job, solid job, doing their best. Maybe they're learning, but they need to be recognized or affirmed. And that's where appreciation comes in, because it is person to person. It sort of fills in the gaps between those recognition events that happen every month or every year or something like that. And it's driven by the person, so that it doesn't flow according to the org chart. In fact, it can go from a frontline worker to their supervisor, or maybe a receptionist to a VP. It's just person to person. You value the other person. And I think that's sort of a key point, is that figure out, it can be hard because sometimes we don't know people, or we don't understand them. We don't all even like them, but try to find something that you value about them, that maybe they're consistent. They show up, boom, they're there, they're trying their best, or they got a fun laugh, and they got a good sense of humor. It doesn't have to be work related. And so it's really about the people, about the whole person. And I think younger workers really affirm and value that more than those of us that have been around a while, that we tend to just focus on product versus stopping and seeing the person and saying, hey, how was your weekend? And checking in.
It's because we grew up in a different time. It's hard for me to explain to these young kids what the world was like without the internet. So, it's a different. It doesn't exist anymore. It's a weird. You're old for what? No internet, no phone. That's a little bit different, right?
Right.
But it is definitely. I think we come from an era where recognition was something that we looked forward to. It was the result and what we were doing that gave us that employee of the month thing that we wanted to work towards, and hopefully in that work dynamic, other people wanted to achieve that as well. But nowadays, I agree with you. The turnover rate and the loyalty to a particular company is gone. And I think that's why we have that shift from recognition to appreciation, right? The recognition, like you said, it's going to be the same people getting recognized over and over again. But that appreciation, and I like how you keep, saying it's not always top down, because the top is what you're training to show these different languages of appreciation, pretty much the same thing, right? So these languages of appreciation, you're teaching your leaders to do that. And it's not that it's necessarily coming top down, but the practice is definitely going top down, and it changes everything inside the workplace, because the leadership is taking into account these, putting this into play essentially. I mean, is that what you're experiencing? Because that's kind of how I feel that.
So we, let me give you an example. We worked with a manufacturing company. They made parts for lawnmowers for different, Toro and different ones, and they had a really high turnover rate. They were losing people, every month, and we implemented this. And to be honest, we didn't start with the top, because lots of times it's hard to get their attention. We started with the supervisors and the managers, because they were the ones that were seeing the problem and it was affecting their team. So we trained them and their team, and they came back and we got a testimonial about that. The turnover not only dropped, but once they heard that the culture had changed, that people were valued, people that had left were coming back and filling in. And so it's huge to make a difference because it's about the people. You said, people aren't loyal to companies anymore. That's absolutely true. People, the way you keep people is you create connections between people because they don't want to leave their team members and make their lives difficult. They feel bad about that. So they'll hang in there when they feel connected with each other, even though they don't care really about, maybe upper level management or the brand or whatever.
Yeah, they don't care. For them, it's the paycheck, but I don't want to leave a man behind. I don't want to leave you stranded. All right, I won't call in sick. I got you. I'm going to show up. There's so much that goes into it. You literally are taking a group of employees and turning them into a family. And then that's the people that you want to have their back. That's the people that you support 100% of the way. And that's what really creates that loyalty that you're looking for. Dr. Paul, if people want to find out more about what you do and how you help build these cultures inside of their companies, how can they do that?
Yeah, so we've got sort of a mothership website. It's appreciationatwork.com, and it's the word at appreciationatwork.com. It's got information about the book. The book's an easy read. You can, pick it up and read a chapter here and there. We got these assessments that are there. Also, the training packages that people can take so that internal people can do it. We also have like 1,300 trainers across the world, actually, that can come and do it for you. But that's the place to go. Appreciation at Work. We've got free stuff, videos, articles, all that kind of thing.
Perfect. Appreciation at Work. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a job that you go to and you are a manager and you're looking around wondering, how can I get these people to do better? How can I get them to want to show up to work? How can I get them to care? Well, I got some languages some language of appreciation that you can learn. There's strategies that you can go to. And Dr. Paul and his team have been at it for quite some time. Appreciationatwork.com is what you need to go check out. Appreciationatwork.com. Pick up his book. It's a quick read to learn a couple strategies to really turn your office around. Learn how to treat people the way they want to be treated. And you will turn your place into, a job you would like to go to instead of a job you dread going to on a daily basis. Dr. Paul, any final thoughts before we head out?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is actually, you become the place to work if you're competing with, competitors for people. And also, one of the things we found is that when team members feel valued, managers enjoy their work more because people quit complaining about stupid little things that make your life difficult. And I would just say, start somewhere with somebody. I mean, lots of times we want to think about the big picture, but, think of somebody that if they didn't do what they did, your daily life would be a lot harder. And, let them know that you value and appreciate what they're doing.
It's something super simple, right? I see you. I appreciate you. Like those things go a long way. You're not invisible. You don't show up and nobody knows who you are. I see you. I know what you're up to. Thank you very much. Show people that they're human, especially in a world of AI where we're talking to bots all day long. Yeah. We're listening to people that are pre-recorded, whatever it is, have that human connection. It goes a long way. Dr. Paul, thank you very much for being on the program today. One more time, ladies and gents, if you want to find out more about what he's up to, helping your workplace get a little bit better, appreciationatwork.com, appreciationatwork.com. You're already hunting that top talent. That is how you end up keeping it. Dr. Paul, thank you very much for being on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home.
Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz